Hello Fude friends. In today's video, I will be reviewing two Rephr brushes, the number 17 and the number P22. These brushes were gifted to me by the company, but this in no way changes my opinion on these brushes. This is an unbiased and thorough review, which I hope some of you may find helpful. Thank you, Rephr, for your generous gift and for allowing me the opportunity to test these brushes and share my honest thoughts and review with other Fude lovers. Let's start with the number 17. So this brush is made from goat hair. It has a flat top and a round ferrule. It is very densely packed. The handle of this one is in the classic matte black handle, which is signature for Rephr. Has the numbers, the brand, and it has Japan engraved on the side. I like to think of these brushes as on the small side for foundation brushes, and I say this often with Japanese foundation brushes in this style, only because I prefer a slightly larger brush for foundation, but it does work well for all over foundation. It's intended as a foundation brush or to build up coverage in targeted areas, and it leaves a good seamless finish. I have it here next to the Chikuhodo T3, which I have in a limited edition blue handle, but as you can see, the Rephr one is very similar in size. It's slightly smaller, the ferrule is slightly smaller, and the surface area very close, ever so slightly smaller. And I would say that these are the same in terms of softness and density. There will be a softness survey linked, and I would rate both my Rephr and the Chikuhodo one as a 3, meaning average for goat. The only con I can think of for this brush is that this type of brush can absorb a lot of liquid products, and that's not specific to just this brush. It's true of most natural hair foundation brushes in this shape. So they're not my first go-to for liquid foundation products, but my favorite use for it has been cream blush. It's also very nice with concealer and powder products such as blush and contour. It performs just as well as other goat brushes I have tried in this style, and overall I was very pleased with the performance and the design of this brush. Moving on to the P22 bronzer brush. This was the brush that I was most excited about because when I first saw it, I couldn't help but to wonder how it would compare to the now discontinued Tom Ford number 05 bronzer brush. I had been trying to find an alternative to that brush for so long now, and I am so happy to report that for me at least, the search is finally over. And it has been a long search with numerous other brushes from various brands. This brush is made of goat. It also has a pinched ferrule, but it is very, very densely packed, especially for a bronzer or a face brush. And this is also a large bronzer brush, if not the largest of the bronzer brushes I own, same as the Tom Ford one. And mine has the Pro Series handle, which means it has a glossy black handle with a silver ferrule. Softness, this is the same softness as my Tom Ford one, which I would rate both as either a 3 or 4. I do think it's slightly above average in terms of softness for a goat brush, so perhaps a 4. The uses for this brush are that it's intended for bronzer, but I do also use it as a large face all over powder brush, especially setting powder. I love large bronzer brushes, so it works really well for me for that purpose. But if you don't like large bronzer brushes, you may not like it for bronzer. It is multi-purpose. You can use it for all over face powder. And comparisons, I will now finally put it next to the Tom Ford number 05. You can see the brush heads there, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I believe this is the perfect Tom Ford alternative. If you were looking for that brush, if you wanted a backup, if you just enjoy large brushes like this in general and want to give it a try, I do think this is it. This is the closest we can get now that Tom Ford has transitioned to synthetic. Please note that I'm calling it a Tom Ford alternative instead of a dupe, only because I don't like the use of the word dupe. I think dupe implies that the brush is in some way inferior or less expensive, but let's not forget that the Rephr brush is still quite expensive and of good, superior handmade quality. Yes, there's a difference between the two brushes, but I think that's mostly in the handle style and branding. And do keep in mind that there will be differences across brushes due to different bundling, and other Tom Ford and Rephr brushes may slightly differ from the two I have, but you can see here that the two I have are very similar in size, shape. So here is looking at them straight on, here is the side view, here is a close-up top view, and the density as well. This is the Rephr brush. This is the Tom Ford. Now put them next to each other again. Great, let's move on to the next one, which is the Koyudo BP013. I often see this one described as being a dupe for the Tom Ford one. I would slightly disagree. I think they're similar in shape and density, but not the size and length of the bristles. So the Koyudo one, as you can see, has shorter bristles. Here they are next to each other. Side view and top view. Overall, the Koyudo one is slightly smaller, both in the length of the bristles and also the width of the ferrule. You can see that this one is a little less wide. Maybe you can't see, but it's a little smaller. But the density and shape is similar. And I also have this other Koyudo one, which was a collaboration with CD Japan. And while both of these are smaller than the Rephr one, they are still nice bronzer brushes, especially for those who prefer smaller bronzer brushes. In the future, I will make a favorites video for bronzer brushes where I can go into more detail on these Koyudo ones. But for this video, I just wanted to focus on the Rephr one and show you some close comparisons. To conclude, I want to note that I respect Rephr for creating these brushes and especially making the large bronzer brush more accessible to Fude consumers. I think this was clearly a hole in the current market offerings, and I'm happy to see that they addressed it. The two brushes I tried performed on par with other brushes of their type and design that I have tried across various brands, and so far I have no complaints with either the quality, design, or durability of the Rephr brushes. I actually look forward to testing out more Rephr brushes in the future. So please let me know what your experiences with Rephr brushes have been so far, and if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. As always, thank you very much for watching.